Shalala warned that we needed to be prepared for this type of crisis. That's why Congresswoman Shalala fought to increase access to healthcare and work to lower the cost of prescription drugs. Donna has sponsored bipartisan legislation to protect our medical supply chain so that we are not dependent on China. Now more than ever, Donna Shalala for Congress.
I'm Daniela Levine Cava. My opponent is attacking me again with lies. His fear tactics of labeling me an extremist are offensive and wrong. While he denies our small businesses and families the support they need, I'm busy working hard for you, providing aid to small businesses, housing relief for families. My opponent will say anything to mask his reckless agenda. Don't believe his lies. As mayor, I will always fight for you.
Paid by Daniela Levine Cava for mayor.
Be a part of the show and reach out to us on accidentlawfirm.com text line 786-377-4MEN. That's 786-377-4636.
Hey everybody, this is Martin Bermudez. I'm a patriot, I believe in this country, and I'm a big believer in our President Donald Trump. With that in mind, I created the hat that all America is buying, the Trump es un pingu hat. Basically, Trump is a badass. Show your support for our great President Trump. Purchase your Trump es un pingu hat. A variety of colors, including the popular red and white. I'll take your card directly. I'm Martin Bermudez, and it's time for you to have the Trump es un pingu hat. Call me at 786-246-4287. Again, 786-246-4287. 786-246-4287. The Trump es un pingu hat. Get it now. 786-246-4287. Thank you.
October has arrived, and so have the great opportunities to make big money at, of course, my favorite gaming establishment, Casino Miami. Sign up and join our Viva Club and immediately receive $50 free play on us. As soon as you sign up, you get daily free play rewards. Actually, we're giving away thousands daily, all starting at 10 a.m. Play every Friday and Saturday in October between 3 and 10 p.m. Hit the right combination in our $50,000 liquid cash, and you get 50,000 big ones instantly. Amazing. Win big money also in our progressive jackpot games. You a poker player? Join us at Casino Miami. High hand promotion all week long. Parimutuel betting is here and here big time. Visit our William Hill Racebook and bet on races and games throughout the world. Our newly updated restaurant is also now open. Home to some delicious tapas and traditional Italian wood fire pizza. Man, I'm getting hungry already. We're a minute from anywhere in the heart of Miami at 3500 Northwest 37th Avenue. Also be sure to friend us on all social media at playcasinomiami.com. I've said it before and it's absolutely the truth. It doesn't get better for fun and winning than Casino Miami. It's time for you to win at our favorite spot for gaming, Casino Miami.
Diaz de la Portilla has returned, and he is a danger to our community. Diaz de la Portilla is backed by special interests with ties to China and those that put profits ahead of people. His history of raising taxes is clear. While Diaz de la Portilla takes advantage of us, Commissioner Eileen Higgins fights for affordable housing and a better transit system. And during this crisis, Higgins has been a voice for our small businesses. Vote Eileen Higgins. She's one of us. Made by Eileen Higgins for County Commissioner.
To all our great listeners of The Man, this is El Presidente, Tony Collado, and if you're looking to make a great investment, I have one for you. You see thousands of trucks on the road. Now you can make money every day by owning one and have our drivers at LFR Logistics handle the driving work for you. How does $40,000 a year in your pocket sound? Make money by calling my friends at LFR Logistics. Write this number down, 305-412-4877. 305-412-4877. Incredible financing available. For very little, you will be CEO of your own trucking company. There's a limited time to take advantage of this sensational opportunity to own your own truck with LFR Logistics. Even more good news. LFR Logistics will manage your truck, book the loads, hire and monitor drivers, take care of fuel, insurance, and repairs. You just collect monthly checks. Make $40,000 a year for years. Call right now. 305-412-4877. 305-412-4877. That's 305-412-4877.
Welcome to the Man Cave.
Coral Gables attorney David Winker.
David Winker.
I'm here with David Winkler.
Hey, don't wink!
David Winker.
Ah.
This is amazing. Mr. Winker.
David Winkler.
Winker.
Winkler, Winkler. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Hey, everybody, Grant Miller here. I'm with David
Winker.
Winker. How about that? Did I get it right?
That was perfect.
The Man Cave.
The Fonz be with you.
With Andy Corge.
Welcome into the Man Cave. Thanks for joining us. I'm here with David Winker on our Winker Wednesdays.
Yay.
Great day, great show for you today. David's going to take the helm as I am going to go down to the digital studio at 10:45 to interview Carlos Jimenez, candidate for U.S. Congress and, of course, mayor of Miami-Dade County. And you'll be able to see that live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Catch it. It should be a great interview, and we'll repurpose it and put it here as an audio component of the Man Cave tomorrow. So a couple other programming news. Daniela Levine Cava will be in the Man Cave tomorrow, joining us tomorrow at 11:30.
Very exciting.
DLC. I love using those acronyms. DLC, AMR, JBK.
Wait.
I'm going to just throw letters out there, and you're not going to know what any of them are.
I have no idea.
But looking forward to talking to Daniela Levine Cava. You know, what I'm really curious about is for the next mayor of the county, whoever that might be, that I'm curious how they're going to manage the budget. Because I got to figure, and I'm just spitballing here for a second, but I got to figure that there is a lot less revenue coming into Miami-Dade County. I'll bet you it's $300, $400, $500, $600 million less. I mean, we didn't have the tax dollars coming in from the tourists. You know, we were at 6 months where almost no one was coming to town. So taxes, I know on the tourist tax, as an example, that my company pays, boy, it went almost to nothing. And so we just weren't taking any reservations. We weren't collecting any taxes. So that has to be the case. So we'll talk to DLC about that. And then on Friday, I am really looking forward to Eileen Higgins. She'll be coming in. We'll talk to her. I heard the ad from Rainier on the air just before I got on. Mayor Pinga Pequeña, as we know him from the 537 Votes documentary, and my good old friend, the dearly departed Neil Rogers, dubbed Alex Pinellas Mayor Pinga Pequeña. And let me tell you, I was shocked to see him endorsing Rainier Diaz de la Portilla. But I'm going to ask Eileen about that, what she thinks about that, and she'll be in on Friday at 10 a.m. to join me in the Man Cave. I'm really looking forward to that interview with Eileen Higgins. So Cutler Ridge Laz comes on in about 10, 15 minutes, and we're going to talk about that. But I have my good friend David Winker here, and now let's just clarify, you are an attorney, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I am mad. I'm madder than hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. And Wanda, if you have that Vince Lombardi soundbite, what the hell's going on over here? Get your finger on that right now, because I want to know what the hell is going on around here with Kavanaugh, that punk, and his opinion yesterday that all votes should be counted before midnight. I mean, let me just point out that I cannot remember an election that was called before midnight. I can't remember the last one. They were always counting votes after midnight on election night. And I think it's 17 states throughout the country allow different periods of time ranging from 3 to 6 days to count votes after the election, mail-in votes. We know we've had record number of mail-in ballots cast. We know that the Postal Service is taxed to get them to the appropriate division of elections on time. And here we have Kavanaugh. I mean, is this another just attempt at voter suppression? What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting because, the idea is to get really hyper-technical. There really is no calling of an election. I mean, let's be very precise here. There is a declaration on that night of the vote count, but there's never any official, like, we give Florida to President Trump that night. The results are certified at a later time. And one of the things that's always been a part of that is the military, right? You get a bunch of military absentees after. I don't think it's ever changed anything, but the idea is you certify later. And so kind of this unspoken rule, and this is where we're going to get into, because obviously this administration has broken a lot of unspoken rules. The unspoken rule of American elections is the concession speech. The concession speech is so critical to getting people to accept the results.
Of course.
Right? And, I think what we're seeing here is a confluence of events where it's almost against Trump's personality to give a concession speech. I think that the Republicans have a incentive to say this election was stolen from them if they lose. So why would you concede anything? And then you end up in a situation where really, without that concession, I think it's important that we go through the process and then we can talk about why it's important what he's doing. The way that the process then works, if there is not a concession, I mean, we're talking about parts of the Constitution that have never been tested, right? This has never happened, I think, since the 1800s. But basically, you're going to end up in the House of Representatives. And in the House of Representatives, they're going to have to decide who the next president is. Without a concession speech, they're going to have to decide. And basically, you're going to have a situation where the Republicans who do not control the House, correct?
Yes.
The Democrats
control the House.
But it's state by state. So it's a declaration of each state. And not population-wise, but number of states, there are more Republican states. And so basically you're going to end up in a situation where I really think that there's a blueprint for the Republicans to lose the popular vote, lose the electoral count, jam it into the House of Reps, and at the House of Reps, they're going to do it. And
but if they lose the electoral count, how are they going to do that? I mean, Jeff Garcia was saying yesterday in our program that he really felt that the Democrats, Biden-Harris, need to win by a substantial margin, 20, 30 electoral votes, in order to avoid this battle that may go on for that seat.
I don't think you're going to avoid it anyway. I think that you're going to see the Republicans. I think the jamming through of this latest Supreme Court nominee is more what this is going to look like, and they're going to say, "Look, we're sorry. I know you don't like this process, but this is the process, and we're going to take it, and we're going to avail ourselves of the constitutional process."
But if Biden clearly wins states like Michigan and Pennsylvania and Florida, let's say, okay, hypothetically, and it's obvious on election day, he's up by 150,000 votes in Florida. He won Florida, right?
Right.
How are they going to dispute the election?
Because Florida's a Republican-run state.
I understand that, but how do you say, okay, well, we're just going to discount that 150,000 more people in the state of Florida accounted for on election night, even though, that punk Kavanaugh, who's busy, going to frat parties and abusing women, is despite what he says, that we've already counted up votes on election night and Biden's well ahead. Listen, in Michigan, it's a foregone conclusion Biden is winning Michigan. He's way up in Michigan.
But Michigan's a Democratic-run state. That's not the states we're talking about. We're talking about just sheer number of states. You're just going to have the states decide it. And so I think that, I don't know how we avoid this problem. It would really take the Republican Party not availing themselves of a system that's available to them. I mean, really, you have something where, to me, it's really going to take, it may end up just with people on the street, right? We're going to have an old-fashioned, just like an uprising, because it's going to be.
But doesn't that worry you, David? I mean, it worries me to the point, because we've seen some of these groups come out. For gosh sakes, we had this white supremacist group in Michigan talking about, kidnapping the governor.
But I think that's where it comes down to is you have. I mean, am I happy about it? No, I'm not. And you're going to see the new norm, right? If Trump doesn't concede, we're going to go through a legal thing where he controls the Supreme Court by a significant majority at this point.
Yes.
And I really don't see Trump. I got to tell you something. Like, I hate to say it, I don't see Trump leaving office one way or the other. I mean, that's all. I think Trump has this set up where he's going to win this election.
I would kind of wish you hadn't come in today.
I know. I hate to bring.
You got me scared.
I hate to. The Man Cave Legal Desk really has analyzed this, and I am concerned. It's going to take the Republicans doing something they don't necessarily have to do. I mean, they're going to have to concede, and they don't have to
physically remove him.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's going to go to the. I am telling you, it's going to go to the House of Reps, and we could bring in some constitutional scholars, but I think I'm right. I don't think that there's a mechanism, because there's more Republican states than there are Democrat states. You're going to end up with a situation where, and it's, to me, it's interesting. We talk in law, a constitutional crisis. I don't even think it's a constitutional crisis. Trump's just going to avail himself of the legal process, and it kind of looks like a legal coup. You can call it an absurd result, but the Republicans are just going to say, just like they did with what's her name? What was the name of the Supreme Court justice they just jammed in?
Oh, Amy Coney Barrett.
It's like, hey, listen, sorry, this is what the law says. It breaks tradition. It breaks the spirit of the law. It doesn't really, it seems bad for democracy, but we're going to do it.
I just think if it's obvious that Biden has won in an or let's say in a healthy way, with a healthy margin, and wins states like Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, they say is almost done. Like Wisconsin, is almost a same foregone conclusion as Michigan is, but Wisconsin is way going in that direction right now. I saw one poll where they claim, and I don't believe it, but they claim Biden is up by 17 points in Wisconsin. So, and I've seen the averages like 8 or 9 in Wisconsin.
But wasn't this I don't have the
no,
time to
it wasn't.
do it. It wasn't under Hillary. I mean,
no.
I saw someone was passing on Facebook.
No, when everyone mentions the whole Hillary was up in the polls, they were talking about national polls. And in case you didn't keep track, she did win by 3 million votes. One of the things that resonated with me, which I thought was almost funny, was when they did in 537 votes by Billy Corbin, the documentary, was how they said, well, Gore won by 260,000 votes. He had 260,000 more votes in America, and that was part of the case why Gore should have gotten Florida or whatever. But here you were, Hillary won by almost 3 million votes. 3 million. So, well, in a moment, we're going to talk a little sports with our good friend Cutler Ridge Laz.
We need a break from. I mean, this is so heavy. Let me just finish with this thought. It's like the vibration that you feel in the air right now, I think, is Democrats realizing they're in real trouble. Like all this work may be for naught, and that this election, in their words, in the Democrats' mind, is going to be stolen from them.
Well.
David, I love it when you talk vibrations.
You do. What the hell's going on over here, Wanda? Do you know?
Vibrations, and I have no idea. But you've got phone calls hanging up. So
let's go for a quick what if here, and in a moment we're going to talk to Cutler Ridge Laz about the Hurricanes. I'm curious to hear what Cutler Ridge Laz has to say about that. No offense, pathetic performance by the University of Miami on Saturday. We'll talk that, sports, and more with our good friend Cutler Ridge Laz in a moment here in the Man Cave on 1210 The Man.
I am Raquel Regalado, and I'm running to be your voice on the County Commission. As a single mother of 2 children on the autism spectrum and a former school board member, I faced and conquered many challenges. 2020 has brought us plenty of challenges, and how we respond will make all the difference for decades to come. As your commissioner, I will bring innovative and respectful leadership to County Hall, and together we will build consensus, protect our families, forge a resilient economy, and restore the health of Biscayne Bay. I am Raquel Regalado, and with your vote, I will be your voice on the County Commission.
Paid political advertisement. Paid for and approved by Raquel Regalado for Miami-Dade County Commissioner, District 7.
This election is bigger than politics. It's about the things that matter. Our families, our communities, our nation, each under threat from a corrupt, racist, lawless president and his party. This administration continues to show its incompetence, ignorance, and indifference towards its citizens. From the loss of life during the pandemic to the assault on Black lives. Our nation needs leadership. We need unity. We need a path forward. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the leaders we need in this moment. As President, Joe Biden will bring a renewed focus on the issues of justice in policing and education, justice in our economy and our healthcare system. Joe and Kamala will respect science and facts, represent our values, and fight hard for our issues. This is our moment to decide who we are going to be as a country. A vote for the Biden-Harris ticket is a vote for a path forward to a better America.
Paid for by Backpack and United Country. Backpack.com and UnitedCountry.com is responsible for the content in its advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
Diaz de la Portilla has returned, and he is a danger to our community. Diaz de la Portilla is backed by special interests with ties to China and those that put profits ahead of people. His history of raising taxes is clear. While Diaz de la Portilla takes advantage of us, Commissioner Eileen Higgins fights for affordable housing and a better transit system. And during this crisis, Higgins has been a voice for our small businesses. Vote Eileen Higgins. She's one of us. Made by Eileen Higgins for County Commissioner.
I'm Donna Shalala, and I approve this message.
United forever! United forever!
We have learned a lot in the last 5 months.
When you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero.
We've learned that crisis doesn't build character. It reveals it.
So I said to my people, slow the testing down.
Real leaders unite us.
Democrats and Republicans have to come together and to speak with one voice.
Congresswoman Donna Shalala reached across the aisle to protect Venezuelans and has led the criticism of dictators like Maduro. Long before the pandemic, Donna Shalala warned that we needed to be prepared for this type of crisis. That's why Congresswoman Shalala fought to increase access to health care and work to lower the cost of prescription drugs. Donna has sponsored bipartisan legislation to protect our medical supply chain so that we are not dependent on China. Now more than ever, Donna Shalala for Congress.
I'm Daniela Levine Cava. My opponent is attacking me again with lies. His fear tactics of labeling me an extremist are offensive and wrong. While he denies our small businesses and families the support they need, I'm busy working hard for you, providing aid to small businesses, housing relief for families. My opponent will say anything to mask his reckless agenda. Don't believe his lies. As mayor, I will always fight for you.
Paid by Daniela Levine Cava for mayor.
Be a part of the show and reach out to us on accidentlawfirm.com text line 786-377-4MEN. That's 786-377-4636.
Welcome to the Man Cave.
Coral Gables attorney David Winker.
David Winker.
I'm here with David Winkler.
Hey, don't wink!
David Winker.
This is amazing. Mr. Winker.
David Winkler.
Winker.
Winker.
Winkler, Winkler. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Hey, everybody, Grant Miller here. I'm with David
Winker.
Winker. How about that? Did I get it right?
That was perfect.
The Man Cave.
The Fonz be with you.
With Andy Corge.
Back in the cave, we got our good friend Cutler Ridge Laz in the Man Cave with us. Hey, Laz, how are you, buddy?
Top of the morning to you, bud. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Hey, as Vince Lombardi once said, what the hell was going on out there on Saturday with your Canes?
This is one of those situations where you walk away saying a win is a win is a win. So
okay.
I've never seen an ugly win. And any other, if you walk away with any other opinion from this game except that a win is a win, you're crazy because we look miserable and we still won the game. That's how bad Virginia is. But we didn't have a rusher over 50 yards. The kid was efficient. 21 to 30 for 300 plus yards and a touchdown. And the biggest thing for me was no interceptions, which was great. To see Mike Hardy had a great game, 170 yards plus, I think, and a touchdown. A lot of things happened for us that we needed to see. The receiving game picked up. I think Pope had 50 yards or just under 50 yards, no touchdowns though.
Right.
But we definitely need to be ready to play. It didn't seem like Miami was itching to come out and play. And show everybody that Clemson game was the exception to the rule, that Miami is much better and Miami is ready to play this year, which last year it wasn't. So this is just a continuation, I'm afraid, of the growing process that we have to go through.
It's interesting, Laz, because I think that's the rule, right? You don't apologize for a win.
No, you don't.
I was at the game, which was an interesting experience. Have you been to a game yet, Laz, this year?
No, sir.
It's weird, man.
We probably won't make a game till next year until it's reasonably safer.
It's interesting. You feel safe. It's almost like it's 1-to-1, man. It's like 1-to-1 staff to people. And it was interesting being there. And it was like, I found myself like even concentrating more on the game. I was there with my daughter. another friend, who really likes to watch football. We just, you're there by yourself. We were like the only ones in our section. And
did you take Mango the cat?
No, yeah, exactly. For everyone who knows, you want to get your stray animals from. I have the world's best cat, that Laz, and I'll tell you the story real quick. Not to take up too much time, but Laz sent out a tweet. He sent this picture of these two little fur balls in a cardboard box. I found these at the warehouse. No mom, and they're full of worms. They're full of fleas, and then in all caps, "Who wants one?" ? Exclamation point.
A cane with a heart? I haven't heard of that before.
So we have Mango the cat.
I gotta clear it up. I have a huge heart for animals. I am starting to lose my faith in humanity a little bit.
I'm with you.
You and me, my friend. You and me.
Unbelievable.
Hey, Laz, before you leave, one of the things that you and I have in common, it's like I grew up watching Marino and the Dolphins. And so it's like it's an interesting thing. Like I have this standard for the Dolphins, and watching the Canes, we have a standard for the Canes. And it's interesting seeing like the younger generation that's never seen that before and balancing kind of what you're saying, which is like, we know what this should look like. And we also, you have to take, it's like play the ball where it lays, right? It's like, these are our Canes. And I kind of had that weird combination of like, like no one be talking about the Canes being back for a long, long time. But man, it was nice winning that football game. Like that, winning the games you should win.
Those are the games they would lose in the past few years. They'd come off a defeating loss to a team like Clemson, and then they'd tank at the next game or two, right?
Well, that's what you walk away from, is that in previous years we would have probably lost this game. But in all fairness, we beat them last year also. So we basically continued or leveled off. But again, it was a miserable performance. And to speak to what Dave was talking about, I've come to understand and accept that there's two standards. There's the standards that old guys like me and Dave have, because we grew up in the glory years of dominant football, and we can't get that out of our heads. We can't accept this as the norm. That's why we are constantly in conflict with what we see and what we feel we should be seeing. But at the end of the day, I can't blame these kids. You got to go back a long time to when we were dominant, and they've never seen that. A lot of these kids out there now, going to games with their parents and stuff like that, they don't know what it is for a 12-0 football team to in and out every year to be number 1 or 2 in the opening polls and finish 1 or 2 in the opening poll. That's unheard of for anybody under 20.
Laz, I got to tell you something.
Hard.
It's funny that you say that too, because and then I see flashes of it. I was at the Northwestern Central game at Traz Friday night and watching all those Canes commits. And Laz, I was on the sideline, and there was this number 1 for Northwestern. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. And he is, on a normal play, he's a 5-star receiver, never sniffed another school. He's a commit. And he's going to the sideline, and they're kind of doing that thing where they're going to the central defender's running over full speed and going to knock him out of bounds. It's almost like one of those pool ball plays, And yeah. I'm right there, and he puts down. It was like a superhero movie in slow mo. He hunkers down, he puts out the stiff arm, and hits that central defender. And I mean, threw him 20 feet. I'm not exaggerating.
Oh God!
And I look over at Bluestein, and I was like, "Who the blank was that?"
My guy.
And he's like, "Oh, that's only so and so, a 5-star recruit going to the Canes." And I was like, "Oh my God!" And so watching that game, you see the hearts of the Lions. They're there. And I just,
But what happens when they get here?
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about.
This is the big problem. This is the issue that we've been having since Coker got canned, and I think I tweeted this the other day. These guys get here, they're great recruits. I can name Tracy Howard, the Chicolo, on down, Burns, on down the line, guys that were recruited by all the top programs, Bama, LSU, Ohio State, but decided to come here. Got here and regressed. And not all of them, but a lot of them went on to the league, finally got coached up, and they are players, impactful players on professional football teams that did nothing at UM for 3 or 4, whatever years they were here. So something's breaking down from that 5-star recruit that Blue is following throughout his career from the time the kid's been playing Pop Warner till he commits to UM, and then the development, the talent kind of sort of stops.
And Laz,
and they do nothing for 3 years.
This kid's name was Romello Brinson. Be watching for him. 6'2", 180 pounds. He's like a string bean. And it was interesting because, part of this when I see these kids is they're playing for a high school national championship, right? Like they're playing IMG this week or next week. I can't remember which one. But the idea is, like, we have the Lions coming up, and it'll be interesting to see if we can harness it and change the trajectory that you're talking about. Because these kids now, the U is back from a recruiting perspective. And the challenge that we got to hold those coaches to is what you're talking about. And the last thing I'll tell you, Laz, I called you over the weekend because I wanted to tell you this story when seeing you on social media. Is I was coaching my daughter at Palmer Park, and there's the Silver Ghosts, the South Miami Silver Ghosts, playing Gray Ghosts. Gray Ghosts. And it's all nothing cuter than these little 7-year-old boys in full pads, right? And they're cracking it. And I see a grandma, African American grandma, must have been 80 years old, storm out in the field, grab her kid, and start yelling at the kid.
Well, he didn't do his homework or something?
No, just the opposite.
No.
Yeah, I know. And Laz, you know what I'm talking about. I was like, I swear to you, Laz, she's just talking to him about effort and this stuff. And I swear to you, I had this moment, I was like, this is why we're good at football. Grandma's out here in her lawn chair, and she ain't cutting that kid any slack.
And if there's one person the kid listens to, it's grandma, right?
Boy, who knows? The kid might have missed a block, arm tackled, something. So grandma has to address the problem. You know what I mean? You know what we need? We need a couple of grandmas on this UM coaching staff.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Issues. I need to say this because there was some video come out. I'm not going to name who released it or whatever, and I'm not going to point out the player. But the problem that we're talking about starts on the roster. Every successful University of Miami football team, and there have been many, the roster was written in sand. Nobody had a guaranteed start. You had to beat the guy out in front of you or that was behind you every week in order to get that start on Saturday. And now we start reading and understanding that, it's seniority and all that, and I'm sorry. If I have a freshman on the bench that is a beast and is knocking jokers out in practice, I'm going to start that true freshman if he shows more talent, heart, and a better work mentality than this senior. And that's what needs to happen. It goes way back to Randy. One of the best kids that I have ever met, bar none, not talking sports, just in life in general, is Ja'Cory Harris. Ja'Cory Harris was miserably mistreated in that he was not forced to compete. No matter what Ja'Cory did on Saturday, he was guaranteed to start the next Saturday because there was nobody behind him to push him, and the coach didn't bring in anybody or he didn't, prop anybody up to push him.
Yeah,
Ja'Cory,
you're right, Laz. That is one of the things I love about Coach Flo with the Dolphins is nothing is given. I mean, nothing. It doesn't matter who the player is. You saw it with Fitzpatrick. It was time to make the move. He made the move. So
I got my opinion on that. I don't think that was so much Coach Flo. I think that came from
upstairs. No, I think you know what?
Selling tickets and jerseys right now.
I disagree because I'll tell you why.
It doesn't blow up in their face. I'm just saying that. I pray to God that it doesn't blow up in their face.
I think when the season started, they knew exactly when Tua was going to start playing. Exactly when he was. I think it was all calculated from way out.
I had that much confidence in the football prowess of the Miami Dolphins, but I've been beaten to submission.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you. So listen, next two games, the Canes are on the road. They've got a Friday night primetime game against NC State on the 6th. They got the off week this weekend, and then they've got a game at Virginia Tech. Two tough ones. If they perform like they did on Saturday, or even
it's 2 losses.
Yeah, it's 2 losses.
If you go on the road, and especially, look, we all got to light our candle, say our positive sayings, whatever you do for positivity, do it the next 2 games because it's after a bye week. And we know recent history has told us that we are misery after a bye week. So you're going to go on the road. I think one or two of them, I think Virginia Tech isn't ranked anymore. Is NC State ranked?
No, neither team is ranked any longer.
Okay, well, I mean, you're going on the road against two teams that had been ranked previously. They've taken losses. They're pissed off. They're at home. And you have to play some inspired football to win these two ACC games.
Plus, you could say whatever you want about the Canes being down or whatever. They haven't been at that level in 20 years, let's say. But it's always a big game when Miami comes to town for a team like NC State or Virginia Tech, right?
Well, what happens is that, these teams, they don't really, I mean, let's admit, let's tell the truth. They've never won anything worth winning. And to me, something worth winning is a national championship. I think Virginia Tech won one, I don't know, eons ago, whatever.
Yes.
Anyway, so when Miami comes to town, this 5-time national championship, dynasty's coming, and we got to get up for that game, and people get up for us. And in turn, Miami says, we're just going to NC State, easy win. And then they get whooped. And that's what we have to change around here.
And that's the thing, Laz, is like I've been to those stadiums. I go every other Thanksgiving. I'm in Blacksburg watching Virginia Tech.
Dude.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've been, and you know that they really care.
2005.
They really care
2005.
about their football. Yeah. And to them, it's like a measuring stick, right? It's like me as a lawyer when I'm against some of these lions of the bar. I prepare 3 times as much, right? Because this is my chance to prove my mettle. And so, yeah.
And in the meantime, those lions of the bar are outside the courtroom saying, damn, Winker's in there.
Yeah, no, what he does, like he's going against Alan Dershowitz, what he does, he walks in with a 13-year-old girl,
God.
and that just gets him off his game immediately.
Hey, real quick, I was in Blacksburg in 2005 when Marcus Vick was the quarterback.
Oh.
And we forced 7 turnovers. It was one of the best games I've ever been at because obviously you've been there, Dave. It's almost like you're looking at the game from the clouds. It's so steep.
Yep.
Yes.
And it was going nuts. And when we got back home the next morning, I was at the airport and I picked up the Miami Herald and I actually framed the sports section. And the greatest line in sport, I think it was Susan that put it there. It said, victimized. Canes forced 7 fumbles and trample Hokies. We were number 3, I believe, and they were number 5 or vice versa. That was the last dominant Hurricane football playing team that Miami has.
That's what they should make the kids watch, right? Like that's a perfect game to watch. And it's like, Laz, it's funny because I have one of my favorite memories from being up there was Virginia Tech, and Virginia's winning, and Virginia hasn't beaten Virginia Tech in like a dozen years, right? And,
I was going to say.
And there was this redneck, like Blacksburg is, in the hills. Here's this hillbilly. He's like 6'8" with overalls on. He goes,
I was going to say, did he have the overalls on?
Yeah, he did. And he's like, and it's freezing cold. And I just hear him say, this is so cute. They think they're going to win.
Well, hey, Laz, we got to run. Thanks so much for joining us.
Real quick.
Yeah, what's your prediction, the next game?
Well,
we got a week.
What am I saying? We got a week.
Yeah, we got a week. But I will say this. My prediction is unless the Canes come out inspired and play some really good Hurricane football, they're going to take 2 losses on the road.
Yeah, I agree with you. And hey, at least you have some real football to watch this Saturday. No Canes. You got the Gators, Missouri. Number 10 Gators
listen,
in the swamp.
Let's hope Grandma doesn't go on another makeout booth streak and infect the whole team again. That's what we got to do. You got to lock Grandma down.
Remember, COVID is the only thing that could stop my beloved Gators. Thanks, Laz. Go Gators. We'll talk to you next week, my friend.
Trophy cases, baby. Trophy cases. Go Canes.
You're listening to The Man Cave.
Are we on the air?
1210 The Man, the only station in South Florida where you are the man.
This election is bigger than politics. It's about the things that matter. Our families, our communities, our nation, each under threat from a corrupt, racist, lawless president and his party. This administration continues to show its incompetence, ignorance, and indifference towards its citizens. From the loss of life during the pandemic to the assault on Black lives. Our nation needs leadership. We need unity. We need a path forward. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the leaders we need in this moment. As President Joe Biden will bring a renewed focus on the issues of justice, justice in policing and education, justice in our economy and our healthcare system. Joe and Kamala will respect science and facts, represent our values, and fight hard for our issues. This is our moment to decide who we are going to be as a country. A vote for the Biden-Harris ticket is a vote for a path forward to a better America.
Paid for by Blackpack and United Country. Blackpack.com and UnitedCountry.com is responsible for the content and its advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
In Washington, they only look out for themselves, so they get nothing done for us. Leadership is about serving you. From firefighter to paramedic up to chief, we fought fires, not each other. As mayor, our focus is on getting results for you. We increased funding for police and firefighters and cut taxes, saving families nearly $2,000. You don't get results like that focusing on yourself. I'm Carlos Jimenez. I approve this message because you can achieve a lot when you focus on who really matters.
I'm Donna Shalala, and I approve this message.
United forever! United forever!
We have learned a lot in the last 5 months.
When you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero.
We've learned that crisis doesn't build character, it reveals it.
So I said to my people, slow the testing down.
Real leaders unite us.
Democrats and Republicans have to come together and to speak with one voice.
Congresswoman Donna Shalala reached across the aisle to protect Venezuelans and has led the criticism of dictators like Maduro. Long before the pandemic, Donna Shalala warned that we needed to be prepared for this type of crisis. That's why Congresswoman Shalala fought to increase access to healthcare and work to lower the cost of prescription drugs. Donna has sponsored bipartisan legislation to protect our medical supply chain so that we are not dependent on China. Now more than ever, Donna Shalala for Congress.
I'm Daniela Levine Cava. My opponent is attacking me again with lies. His fear tactics of labeling me an extremist are offensive and wrong. While he denies our small businesses and families the support they need, I'm busy working hard for you, providing aid to small businesses, housing relief for families. My opponent will say anything to mask his reckless agenda. Don't believe his lies. As mayor, I will always fight for you.
Paid by Daniela Levine Cava.
Attention truck drivers, attention owner-operators. How would you like to make 6 figures a year and see the country at the same time? GMC Trucking is offering you a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Call them now to join this lucrative opening. 305-896-5532. 305-896-5532. Join one of the nation's top trucking companies and receive, besides 6 figures a year, the following benefits: a fuel card, dental insurance, 401k, liability insurance, no forced loads, trailer provided, and 24/7 dispatch service. It doesn't get much better. Make 6 figures a year. Call GMC Trucking right now. Don't delay. 305-896-5532. That's 305-896-5532. Provide you and your family with huge income by joining our drivers network. Call GMC Trucking now. 305-896-5532. It's now your time to make big money.
All right, folks, this is your boy, Dan Cilio. You heard it right. Cilio's back in South Florida. 2 to 4, we start Monday right here on 1210 The Man.
Be a part of the show and reach out to us on accidentlawfirm.com text line 786-377-4MEN. That's 786-377-4636.
Welcome to the Man Cave.
Coral Gables attorney David Winker.
David Winker.
I'm here with David Winkler.
Hey,
don't wink!
David Winker.
This is amazing. Mr. Winker.
David Winkler.
Winker.
Winker.
Winkler, Winkler. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Hey, everybody, Grant Miller here. I'm with David
Winker.
Winker. How about that? Did I get it right?
That was perfect.
The Man Cave.
The Fonz be with you.
With Andy Korch.
Welcome back, everybody. It's great to be here. I have in the studio, anyone who listens to the show knows we love our moms. And I have a George Washington Carver mom coming in to talk about some issues involving a new Wawa gas station. Wendy Long, welcome.
Hi, good
to the
morning.
Man Cave.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
That's great. We're gonna talk about some of the issues and what happened at Coral Gables City Hall. We're gonna get super hyper local. All politics is local.
Great.
We're gonna get real local, but we're gonna kind of put it into the overall context of what's happening in the country. Because I think we all had an interesting experience yesterday.
Definitely.
I understand we have it's Winker Wednesday, but Grant Miller brings the dumb on Thursday to Dumb Down Thursday, and we have him on the line. Grant, you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Talk to me. What's going on?
First of all, I got winked this morning. Between you and I, you understand, I got winked this morning.
Yes.
But next thing, Wawa. No Wawa on US 1 in Coral Gables in the historical area. I agree with the Carver mom. No,
Yeah, the
no
moms,
Wawa.
it was, I don't know if you watched it, but anyone who watched it, it was like 40, Coral Gables moms calling in, everyone upset. And Grant, we're going to talk about it, but, I talked to Wendy about it.
Okay, that's one issue. I congratulate you on bringing up. The other issue, I am so happy that Andy Kortz is not on the show anymore for Wednesday, because you have bring the level up to another thing.
I got to tell you something. He's downstairs with Mayor Jimenez, and I love it. These are the kind of interviews I like. Like, that's an oil and water. It'll be very interesting to see. Are there going to be any punches thrown? That's a good interview, Grant.
Oh, no, please. They're going to kiss his butt.
No hard questions.
First of all, we Miami Community Newspapers, not owned or controlled by the Miami Herald, who's locally owned, station, has an office in Miami for the last 60 years, support Carlos Jimenez. Not like the Miami Herald, who they have an office in Miami, not supporting it. We support Carlos Jimenez. So that's our team. That's it. So the reason I called is, what's the game of the week?
Game of the week. I got to tell you something. We're about to go to Coach Hector Clavillo. The most interesting game of the week to me is Chaminade is going to Gulliver 4 p.m. Friday. I want you to go with me, Grant. We're going to watch. We're going to take a break.
Baby. We'll be there.
We're going to take a break from this lunacy. That's going to be a good football game. So please stay tuned. We got Hector on the line, and I predict that Hector's going to say it's not a good game, and that the Lions are going to stomp those Raiders.
We'll find out. All right. It's always a pleasure, Mr. Wink. See you later.
Thanks, man. Hector, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Coach, talk to me.
How you doing? How's
Good,
everything
man.
going?
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Ready to roll.
I understand you were traveling last weekend?
Yes. I was up in North Carolina. Just doing a little work. Working, grinding as usual.
We got Chaminade head coach Hector Clavillo. Hector, talk to me about this game. So you guys, who did you play last week?
We played Doral Academy last week.
And the Firebirds were extinguished, I understand.
Yes.
What was the score?
50-7.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. It was a blowout. And I think you're going to have a little bit of a tougher test down in Pinecrest this weekend. This Friday.
Yeah, it should be a good one. It should be a good game. Our kids are pumped up for it. Our kids want to play that. They beat us for the first time last year since I've been at Chaminade in a close one, and we're trying to get revenge. So
I find it interesting, Coach. One of the reasons I love talking to you and everyone, we've got Hector Clavillo defending 2A state championship, the high school the Catholic high school in Hialeah. You guys remind me of FSU, late 80s, Louisville for a time. You'll play anyone, anywhere. How are the kids doing? Like the grind, you guys are just forged. You guys have played a lot of really competitive games, starting with Chaminade Madonna right out of the gate. How does it affect the kids just week in and week out, playing about as tough a schedule as anyone's playing in the state?
The kids, it keeps the kids tuned in, it keeps them locked in, it keeps them ready to roll. They know every week's a tough one, so they have no excuses. And I do my part in always figuring out, even if we play an opponent that may not be up to our standards, like a Doral, for example, it's kind of hard to keep the kids motivated if they feel like they're going to win by 50. So, but, they run the wing tee, so I kind of emphasize on that. And I say, hey, man, listen, they may not be the greatest team, but they run a different scheme, that we're not used to. So we gotta focus in and hone in on adjustments and out of misdirection stuff. So every week's a new challenge to really find ways to motivate the kids to practice hard, because obviously it takes a toll. It takes a big toll, and talking about a toll, I mean, we start the playoffs next week,
and it's crazy.
And the state being so kind and generous, they gave us a play-in game. So of all people,
the defending champ got randomly selected for the play-in.
Right. So we got to win in order to complete our goal and win a state championship. We got to win 6 straight games in the playoffs. So that's not going to be an easy task either. So, I think only 2 schools and there's only 2 playing games, and I'm one of them. So
I got to tell you, we're here with Coach Hector Clavillo from Chaminade Hialeah High School, Catholic school. It's interesting for the fans. This is really weird. I was looking at the schedule. I think Central has 2 games before the playoffs go. Northwestern's playing IMG and then going into the playoffs. And I got to tell you, though, as a fan, I think these playoffs are going to be nuts, right? It's going to be really interesting to see how the teams react, what happens. I was at Northwestern Central, man, and those teams looked like they were in mid-season form.
Yeah. No, those teams are just, they have so much talent. You're talking about, 25, 30 Division I players on each side, on both sides of the ball. So even at their worst, they're still going to look good. But that it's going to come down to that. It's going to come down to that in the playoffs. It's going to come down to who's played more games, who's figured themselves out, and that's what people don't understand. People think that you can just show up and just play football and you're better than the other team. It doesn't work that way. You no matter how good you are, you still got to work some kinks out. You got to find your identity. It's high school football. Like these are kids. They're you got new kids. You're talking about 14, 15, 16-year-olds that their girlfriend dumps them one day and then they don't want to throw the ball. Like you're talking about a really a unique dynamic, and it takes time. It takes time to figure out who your kids are, and with the lack of practice and the lack of games for some of these teams, I think you'll see a lot of upsets in the playoffs. I mean, we saw upsets this week.
Yeah.
In the last 2 weeks.
No, dude, Cardinal Gibbons beating St. Thomas Aquinas is just sums up everything that you're saying, right? I mean, that was an upset of national import.
I'll be honest, and I'll go on the record and say this. And I love the guys at Gibbons. They're great dudes. I think they're one of the best coached teams in South Florida, period. They have a phenomenal staff. But I watched their film against Doral, and I was looking like, oh, my God, this is going to be bad. Like, St. Thomas is going to put a 50 spot on them, And, we talked about it, and all the kids were like, yeah, Gibbons not that good, Gibbons not that good. And then I finished the game at Doral. We get to the ale house, and we pop up the scores, and we're like, what in the world just happened? And sure enough, they got beat, And I expected True Prep to beat St. Thomas the week before.
Yep. Yeah, because True Prep, I was at that game. I don't know that I've seen you as frustrated as I did at True Prep. I have a picture of you with your hands outstretched, just yelling at the kids. I mean, that was an intense game. That game felt like a playoff game.
Yeah. No, that game was intense. It was high intensity. It was frustrating for me just because some of the little things that happened should have been avoided. But whatever, they won, and I thought it was a good. I mean, also the referees were super frustrated in that game too. And I think that should be a rule. Like I think they should come out, and both teams should agree. I know money's always an issue, right? Money's always an issue. So teams try to nickel and dime, and they only want to bring in 5-man crews for games. And I don't think that should be allowed in big games. If you got 2 good teams playing each other, you got to have a 7-man crew. And even if that means if the other team needs to chip in and pay for the other 2 referees, I think that should be a discussion.
Coach, we're gonna talk more about that because This is on so many levels. What you coaches make do with, is amazing. Well, listen, Hector, I'll see you on Friday. I don't know if the game is open to fans.
It is.
Oh, so definitely look into it. It's going to Gulliver is fun. I love their little stadium, the Sean Taylor Field there, and I'd encourage anyone to go and check it out. That's gonna be a good game, and good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
All right, take care. I'll see you.
All right, well, welcome back. Dave Winker here. I've got Wendy Long. We're going to go to a break in a second, but Wendy, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm really glad.
As I said, we love having our moms in, and one of the things that we're going to talk about after the break is, it was interesting hearing Coach talk about, getting the kids ready and the emotional experience. Yes. And I want to talk to you about, the George Washington Carver Elementary School on a magnet school on US 1. There's going to be a Wawa gas station that seems like it's been sprung upon everybody across the street.
It's been proposed, and it's in very late stage permitting process.
And you guys got notice of it, and you showed up yesterday at the hearing. Tell me about, we'll get to the logistics of it in a second, or like what happened, but tell me about the emotional experience. Had you ever spoken at a city meeting before?
I hadn't. And first I want to clarify that we did not receive notice. It was some parents heard a rumor that there was going to be a Wawa there. So the school never received notice. The district didn't receive notice. Our representative, Mariteri Rojas, did not receive notification.
That's a Miami-Dade
our
school board
member. Yes.
Member.
And so we did not receive notice. It was really a rumor that came about, and so a couple of parents started asking questions, and that's how we found out. And this was literally weeks ago, so very, very recently. And then, yes, the PTA had a lot of parent interest in finding out what the heck was happening and letting our opinions be known. And so we did have a good turnout. There were more than 100 people on the call yesterday.
So we're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back and talk about what happened at the hearing and kind of how this super hyper local issue applies to kind of the state of political discourse. And we'll resume after the break. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back in a minute.
Now streaming worldwide.
Make sure you catch 1210 The Man on the go. Download the radio.net app today and search 1210 The Man. 1210 The Man, the only station in South Florida where you are the man.
I'm Donna Shalala, and I approve this message.
United forever! United forever!
We've learned a lot in the last 5 months.
When you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero.
We've learned that crisis doesn't build character, it reveals it.
So I said to my people, slow the testing down.
Real leaders unite us.
Democrats and Republicans have to come together and to speak with one voice.
Congresswoman Donna Shalala reached across the aisle to protect Venezuelans and has led the criticism of dictators like Maduro. Long before the pandemic, Donna Shalala warned that we needed to be prepared for this type of crisis. That's why Congresswoman Shalala fought to increase access to healthcare and work to lower the cost of prescription drugs. Donna has sponsored bipartisan legislation to protect our medical supply chain so that we are not dependent on China. Now more than ever, Donna Shalala for Congress.
Diaz de la Portilla has returned, and he is a danger to our community. Diaz de la Portilla is backed by special interests with ties to China and those that put profits ahead of people. His history of raising taxes is clear. While Diaz de la Portilla takes advantage of us, Commissioner Eileen Higgins fights for affordable housing and a better transit system. And during this crisis, Higgins has been a voice for our small businesses. Vote Eileen Higgins. She's one of us. Made by Eileen Higgins for County Commissioner.
Hey everybody, this is Tony Kaladiud from The Man. If you're suffering from erectile dysfunction at any level, then pay close attention. You don't have to have ED pills just to have a sex life. If Viagra or Cialis aren't working, if you're frustrated by the high cost or suffering other side effects, there is a better way. Men's Health Medical Care. 305-409-7555. 305-409-7555. No pain, no needles, no surgery. Get back to natural functionability. Happy life, happy wife. 305-409-7555. 305-409-7555. To all our great listeners of The Man, this is El Presidente, Tony Kaladiud, and if you're looking to make a great investment, I have one for you. You see thousands of trucks on the road. Now you can make money every day by owning one and have our drivers at LFR Logistics handle the driving work for you. How does $40,000 a year in your pocket sound? Make money by calling my friends at LFR Logistics. Write this number down, 305-412-4877. 305-412-4877. Incredible financing available. For very little, you will be CEO of your own trucking company. There's a limited time to take advantage of this sensational opportunity to own your own truck with LFR Logistics. Even more good news. LFR Logistics will manage your truck, book the loads, hire and monitor drivers, take care of fuel, insurance, and repairs. You just collect monthly checks. Make $40,000 a year for years. Call right now. 305-412-4877. 305-412-4877. That's 305-412-4877.
WNMA, Miami Springs, Miami, and Fort Lauderdale. This is 1210 The Man and 1210theman.com.
Welcome to the Man Cave.
Coral Gables attorney David Winker.
David Winker.
I'm here with David Winkler.
Hey, don't wait.
David Winker.
This is amazing.
Mr. Winker.
David Winkler.
Winker.
Winkler, Winkler. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Hey, everybody. Grant Miller here. I'm with David
Winker.
Winker. How about that? Did I get it right?
That was perfect.
The Man Cave.
The Fonz be with you.
With Andy Korch.
Welcome back. As you can hear, there is no Andy Korch. He is downstairs in the basement interviewing Mayor Carlos Gimenez.
Subcave.
Yeah, exactly. And here with Wanda Miles, and we're here with Mom Wendy Long.
Hi.
We are talking about local government issues.
Yes.
I got on the line Coral Gables high school coach Roger Pollard. You there, Roger?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Very good. It was interesting. We are talking about a local issue. George Washington Carver. There's talk of it's happening. They're putting in a Wawa gas, 6-pump Wawa gas station across the street from George Washington Carver, and Coral Gables High School came up. And in a weird way, would you explain to Coach how it came up?
Sure. So there's been quite a bit of parental opposition to this Wawa, and the mayor yesterday compared the situation.
I'd say discounted your concerns.
Right. And compared the situation to before Merrick Park was built in its location across from Coral Gables High School. I didn't live here at the time. I'm not aware of that, of how that went and came about. But he said that people kind of bemoaned that Coral Gables parents were worried that their kids were going to go to the mall and eat at the restaurants and get fat, and that hasn't happened, and really discounting and dismissing.
Do any of your kids go over to the mall? Is the mall part of the Coral Gables experience, the Coral Gables High experience?
I think we're comparing two different groups. right? Like I think the major point of concern is the amount of kids and the amount of cars that are going to be.
Coach, you have your finger as an educator. You are exactly what the moms were talking about. You're speaking Wendy's language, Coach.
No, it's because my wife told me about this, I think last night or this weekend, because our kids they're in virtual school, of course, right now, but that is their school. But I just
you're part of the Carver community too.
Yes.
Wow. Well, we won't put you on the record, Coach, but
Okay.
the hearing was something else yesterday. The parents struggled to get their point across. I think is a nice way of putting it.
I felt like we did get our point across. I feel like it was very quickly dismissed, but I feel like there were some really solid arguments presented that anyone who's new to this discussion has not heard before.
Coach, go ahead.
It's hard with anything, even when and I think Merrick Park hasn't been. There's been a difference in some of the complaints that people were having about it and what's actually happening. But I think we got to compare. Anytime you're making a comparison, you want to compare apples to apples, not apples to oranges. And it's not only about making a new structure, but some of the differences in the structure itself. I think that's the main point that's going on right now.
Coach, I didn't know that you were part of that community. My daughter went there for kindergarten. And I love that school. I think anyone that's affiliated with the school loves the school, and we love the principal, Patricia Fairclough. Here, everyone with Wendy Long, who's a Carver mom, and I've got Coach Roger Pollard on the line. And Roger, I could talk all day about this issue, but I want to talk your first game. Friday, tell us who you're playing.
We're going down to Southridge. We're playing Southridge High School Friday at Southridge Field at 7:30. As of right now, today, we're not allowed to have any fans in the stands, but that can change any day now.
Coach, it's funny that you say that because, I was just talking to Coach Hector Clavillo at Champagnat Catholic. They're playing Gulliver, and it's kind of this, it's a summation of the experience of this pandemic. The private schools are completely different. I asked him, I said, are they opening the stands up? He's like, of course the stands are open. And here you public school guys, you can't get people in the stands.
Well, it's the only. There's, and again, I say that communication ladder and the implementation ladder, they work on two different time scales, but it's weird, the contradiction between private and public down here, right? Because private and public are kind of intertwined until it comes to rules, and then private can do whatever they want, and public has more steps to go through it. But we're really concerned just because. From a financial burden, we have to take more buses down. I think we're paying refs more now. We got to get more police, and now we have no way of making up some of that revenue that we're going to lose. So ultimately, it is a big issue and it's a big problem, but it's above my pay grade. I just got to show up and coach football.
Yeah, and I think that there's a little bit of an element of all of us in that. It's at some point you just got to put your head down and take care of business. But it is, these are all distractions. I mean, we were just talking to Coach Clavillo, and he was talking about how, they're having 5-man crews, Coach. He's like, in these big games, we're going to start just ponying up the money for the extra 2 guys because the school board won't, the GMAC won't do it. And it's just, it kind of is just a microcosm, I think, of high school football, how you guys just make do with nothing,
Yeah, well, it's got to be a little bit of, and we don't know. There are ways around it. Whether we start to have more of an online presence, right? Like the NFL and college games, it's not as it is a blow for them attendance wise, but it's not maybe as big as a blow because they get TV money.
Yeah.
But we've got to do some things where we can start to generate revenue off of it. Like it was a big part of having this season was to get the kids some senior film. But aside from just football, it's volleyball, right? The volleyball parents will take their kids to a gym but they can't go inside to watch. And now they get, as a parent, I drove my kid over to X, Y, or Z school, and now I have to sit in the car because I'm not allowed in the gym. There's some things getting lost in.
And I got to tell you something. I don't want to rat anybody out, and I didn't bring this up, but I got to mention it. So I'm at Central Northwestern, limited attendance. I guess it was like 4 tickets per player. So it was about at, a third capacity. And after I leave the game, on one side of the stadium, Coach, everyone had parked their cars and were up on top of their cars watching the game.
Yeah.
And I had this feeling of like on the one hand, it's like, man, God bless these parents, right? Those parents and friends, and they want to watch their kids play. And then I was like, this is completely counterproductive as a policy. Instead of having them in the stadium with cops yelling at everybody, have your mask on, spread out, they're just piled on top of cars on top of each other watching the game. And I think it's like a summation of so many of the problems we're seeing with how we handle things.
Well, I think we don't know, right? Like all of these things it's the first time for everybody at this large of a scale, and we're just still trying to figure it out. So everything's not going to go right. Everything's not going to be great first time around, of course. But as we keep on going here, like I was saying, maybe this week or maybe next week or maybe in a few days, things will start to change, and we'll see it. Like, to me, it makes no sense, but I don't know all of the numbers. I don't know all of the statistics. I don't know all of the reasonings why things are the way they are right now.
Yep, and you just got to take care of business. It's a big game. You got those Ridge Rats. That's always a tough place to play. And Coach, I wish you luck. I look forward to seeing what's happening. That's going to be an interesting game for you guys.
Yeah, it is. It's just looking at them on film. They've got some guys who can run. They got some guys who can just play the game of football. And then, of course, any team that's down south, there are so many park programs down there. So there's the influx of the amount of kids who grew up playing football. And like we've been saying, football is a culture down here. The football culture down south is thick. So
yeah, I got to tell you, I love going to that little Southridge Stadium. I think it's a fun place to watch football. It's a fired up, in normal years, a fired up crowd, and they always play tough. So good luck this week, Coach. Thanks for calling in. We'll keep you posted, and hopefully we'll see. Wendy will be looking for you at Carver. What grades are you in?
We're in kindergarten. I got twins.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I'm sorry.
I got to tell you, we had such a great kindergarten experience, and I miss walking in, and it was such a great feeling dropping off your kids and seeing Principal Fairclough there. And I always say, one of my great stories about Principal Fairclough was my daughter coming home and explaining something about a snake or a iguana or something. And I'm like, what happened? And she says, well, the principal came out and she was dealing with it. And I was like, oh, was Patricia, was she scared? And my little kindergartner looks at me and she's like, Principal Fairclough is not scared of anything. I'm like, that should be on her letterhead.
Hey, because I'd have been scared.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Coach, thank you so much. Good luck this week, and we'll talk to you next week.
All righty. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got it. Bye.
Right.
Well, welcome back, everybody. I'm here with Mom, Wendy Long.
Hi.
You have 2 kids at Carver.
And
I want to talk about what happened. It's funny talking to Coach. Didn't know that his twins were there. So much of what we're seeing is the relationship between the governed and the governors, right? Between residents and their elected officials.
Right.
Tell me about the emotional experience yesterday. I mean, you guys came out in force. Everyone was articulate. I do a lot of this, and I was very struck. There was no scripts. Everyone said their own thing. Everyone had a different perspective. It was really empowering, I think. And then tell me what happened.
Yeah, I think empowering is a good, very good word to describe it. This was this kind of came together very quickly, and it was just through WhatsApp chats and the PTA that we said, please come out if you have concerns, come and voice them. And we did. People did show up, and you're right, nothing was scripted. Excuse me, nothing was scripted. Some people had done their research. There were other people who said, we don't like it, we don't want it, we don't need it. And that, that's of course a valid position too. And shortly after starting the comments, and I think that everyone was kind of really feeling good, the mayor interrupted and suggested...
This is Mayor Raul Valdez-Fowley.
Right. He suggested skipping ahead to get to the lobbyists and coming back to the parent comments later. And I know that I was certainly surprised, disappointed by that, as I think everyone probably was. And this was my first time attending this type of meeting, so I wasn't sure at all times who was speaking. It was pointed out that the public comment period was supposed to be an hour long and that we needed to continue with that. He interrupted a few more times, asking about how many people were going to speak. At the end of it, there were, I think, 2 or 3 people at the end of the hour who hadn't had their turn yet, and he rather magnanimously
allowed
people to finish. Right, exactly.
Now let me interrupt you, because now we're going to talk about the discussion on the dais. But we have calling in later, we call angry mom Amanda Prieto. But I have my own angry mom, my wife, Christina. Christina, are you there?
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. I'm listening in because, hi, Wendy. How are you?
Nice to talk to you.
I know. I was listening for only a short period yesterday, and I was really taken at how the attorney was like blow by blow saying how all of these rules and procedures were followed. And I hadn't had a chance to follow up with David, but I'm listening to you guys. I'm listening to you, and it was like no one was notified of anything. And that's just really disheartening, because I see that as what's happening over and over in the cases that David's been doing, that they say they followed all of these procedures, but they were followed, but really no one knew about anything.
So let me jump in on that from a legal perspective. It was interesting.
Yes.
Miriam Ramos is a very good attorney.
The city attorney, correct?
She's the city attorney. And how, she just like painstaking detail just undid every one of the arguments of the parents. How did you feel hearing her just basically say, like, this is all a bunch of BS? These people knew about this. They should have been at the 2015 meeting.
Yeah, I didn't feel like she did undo the arguments, because what we heard time and again was that the commission's hands were tied. But what they didn't acknowledge was that they approved the agreement that tied the
settlement agreement.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. So I really didn't feel like I don't feel like she undid anyone's argument.
It's interesting. It's like my wife, Christine, on the line, sees me do this stuff, and she sees, but I think it was shocking for some of the moms. I sent it out in a tweet and said, basically these moms were treated like pests. You guys were seen as pests. How did you feel emotionally when the discussion started on the dais among the commissioners and the mayor?
That was disheartening, because it really I felt that our concerns were summarily dismissed, really, and they sort of trotted out a few people to address supposedly the main concerns. For example, when we talked about the environmental concerns of having a 6-pump gas station 300 feet away from the entrance of a school.
No problem.
Right. Right. They said, well, Florida has very strict rules, and there are periodically not investigators. What do you call it? They have to come and check that everything audits. Right. Thank you. That everything is in line legally. And I felt like that is true. Certainly, I believe that, but that does not address at all the concerns that we've brought up.
And I want to bring it up, sorry, and then they brought the police chief up, Hudak.
And the other piece that I'm shocked about is that hearing Coach Pollard or you, David, say how they were comparing this to Merrick Park.
That was the mayor.
Park, which has a parking garage.
Yeah, they're worried about the kids
versus
eating over
the
at Saks Fifth
gas
Avenue.
station.
Nordstrom's, having lunch at
true.
Nordstrom's.
His comment is true in that you're comparing an apple to a watermelon. And
just in case anyone is not familiar with the location, we're talking about 300 feet. The main entrance to Carver Elementary is entrance, sidewalk, crosswalk, sidewalk, and then you would be standing literally in the Wawa gas station parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not a divided highway. It's not something of US 1. We're talking about a 2-lane road.
Yeah, it's not like that mobile gas station on the other side of US 1. And there's like even another block in between. Like it is directly in front of the entrance of the school.
So I it was interesting because I was thinking about how they did a great job of kind of trotting out all the people that do it. And I was thinking about Hudak was on there, and it's like, okay, you just had 5 bank robberies in Coral Gables, plus a year ago maybe we had one of the most violent armed robberies to ever happen in South Florida with the UPS driver that was gunned down up in Miramar after the high-speed chase.
Yes.
And it was like, no, we're not worried about crime. You know, this is absolutely not an issue having a convenience store across from the thing. All right, my angry wife.
Money talks.
I'm going to start calling you angry wife. We got to go to messages. We appreciate you calling
Bye.
in. We got angry
talking to you,
mom
Wendy.
coming
You
in
too.
afterwards. Thank you.
Bye.
Are we on the air?
1210 The Man, the only station in South Florida where you are the man.
Attention truck drivers, attention owner operators. How would you like to make 6 figures a year and see the country at the same time? GMC Trucking is offering you a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Call them now to join this lucrative opening. 305-896-5532. 305-896-5532. Join one of the nation's top trucking companies and receive, besides 6 figures a year, the following benefits: a fuel card, dental insurance, 401k, liability insurance, no forced loads, trailer provided, and 24/7 dispatch service. It doesn't get much better. Make 6 figures a year. Call GMC Trucking right now. Don't delay. 305-896-5532. That's 305-896-5532. Provide you and your family with huge income by joining our drivers network. Call GMC Trucking now. 305-896-5532. It's now your time to make big money.
I'm Daniela Levine Cava. My opponent is attacking me again with lies. His fear tactics of labeling me an extremist are offensive and wrong. While he denies our small businesses and families the support they need, I'm busy working hard for you, providing aid to small businesses, housing relief for families. My opponent will say anything to mask his reckless agenda. Don't believe his lies. As mayor, I will always fight for you.
Paid by Daniela Levine Cava for mayor.
I'm Donna Shalala, and I approve this message.
United forever! United forever!
We've learned a lot in the last 5 months.
When you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero.
We've learned that crisis doesn't build character, it reveals it.
So I said to my people, slow the testing down.
Real leaders unite us.
Democrats and Republicans have to come together and to speak with one voice.
Congresswoman Donna Shalala reached across the aisle to protect Venezuelans and has led the criticism of dictators like Maduro. Long before the pandemic, Donna Shalala warned that we needed to be prepared for this type of crisis. That's why Congresswoman Shalala fought to increase access to health care and work to lower the cost of prescription drugs. Donna has sponsored bipartisan legislation to protect our medical supply chain so that we are not dependent on China. Now more than ever, Donna Shalala for Congress.
Hey everybody, this is Tony Kaladiud from The Man. If you're suffering from erectile dysfunction at any level, then pay close attention. You don't have to have ED pills just to have a sex life. If Viagra or Cialis aren't working, if you're frustrated by the high cost or suffering other side effects, there is a better way. Men's Health Medical Care. 305-409-7555. 305-409-7555. No pain, no needles, no surgery. Get back to natural functionability. Happy life, happy wife. 305-409-7555. 305-409-7555.
This election is bigger than politics.
It's about the things that matter. Our families, our communities, our nation, each under threat from a corrupt, racist, lawless president and his party. This administration continues to show its incompetence, ignorance, and indifference towards its citizens. From the loss of life during the pandemic to the assault on Black lives. Our nation needs leadership. We need unity. We need a path forward. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the leaders we need in this moment. As President, Joe Biden will bring a renewed focus on the issues of justice in policing and education, justice in our economy and our healthcare system. Joe and Kamala will respect science and facts, represent our values, and fight hard for our issues. This is our moment to decide who we are going to be as a country. A vote for the Biden-Harris ticket is a vote for a path forward to a better America.
Paid for by Backpack and United Country. Blackpack.com and UnitedCountry.com is responsible for the content and its advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
I am Raquel Regalado, and I'm running to be your voice on the County Commission. As a single mother of 2 children on the autism spectrum and a former school board member, I faced and conquered many challenges. 2020 has brought us plenty of challenges, and how we respond will make all the difference for decades to come. As your commissioner, I will bring innovative and respectful leadership to County Hall, and together we will build consensus, protect our families, forge a resilient economy, and restore the health of Biscayne Bay. I am Raquel Regalado, and with your vote, I will be your voice on the County Commission.
Paid political advertisement. Paid for and approved by Raquel Regalado from Miami-Dade County Commissioner, District 7.
Be a part of the show and reach out to us on accidentlawfirm.com text line 786-377-4MEN. That's 786-377-4636.
Welcome to the Man Cave.
Coral Gables